past week, we've witnessed incredible bravery of the Ukrainian people holding off this invasion. But as we go to air tonight, Russian forces are building up outside of Kiev, armoured vehicles, tanks, artillery. With so little military support from NATO, I know that there is financial support on its way to buy weapons and other things, but it's not there now. How long will Ukraine be able to hold them off?
I don't know is the answer to that. But what we have to do is absolutely salute the courage and inspiring bravery of the Ukrainian defenders. The NATO countries and, of course, Australia too, are providing massive support, as much as support as they can. But it's got to be indirect support, because direct support, soldiers fighting on the ground alongside Ukrainians or an air forces in the air, it will generate World War III, because that means that NATO will be at war with Russia, which is precisely the scenario we want to avoid. There remains a critical danger of this thing overspilling into NATO territory, in which case, under Article 5 of the Washington Treaty, which brings all member states in to support one attack, that would mean war with Russia, which is why NATO is building up its forces to try and deter, to make a very clear statement to Russia that there can be no further movement out of Ukraine. But as far as Ukraine is concerned, how long will it survive? How long will the fight go on for? We pray as long as possible. We have to hope for the best, and we have to hope that the support that the rest of the world can give Ukraine will ultimately lead to Ukrainian success, but it's a long shot.
You've obviously fought in war zones, and you're now a military strategic expert. Give us a sense of how difficult it is or will be for Russia, even though it outmans and out-resources the Ukrainian army, to fight in these urban cities. That's not easy, is it?
No, and fighting in built-up areas, fighting in cities is incredibly difficult. It sucks up enormous amounts of manpower and personnel. It's very, very heavy on casualties, and I'm afraid we're beginning to see this already now with the attacks on Kharkiv yesterday by artillery fire. And the worry is that as the Russians bog down, and let's be clear, this has not gone the Russians' way, largely because the Ukrainians, two things. One is because the Ukrainians have fought like tigers. And secondly, because the Russians have shown themselves, frankly, to be pretty incompetent. So as they bog down, they're not achieving their objectives as quickly as they want to. The worry is, and in fact, I'm afraid we're seeing it already, they will lash out with the indiscriminate use of artillery and other mass munitions, resulting in very heavy civilian and other casualties.
Some have called Russian President Vladimir Putin a madman. They say this is all hastily coordinated. But as I said, in your book, you predicted this sort of escalation in 2017. What warning signs did you see that others didn't?
Well, I wasn't alone. I just put it out there in a slightly more lurid fashion than most respectable think tankers would. But you have to go back to 2014, the invasion of Crimea. That was the strategic shock, the wake-up call. The time of that, shortly afterwards, when Crimea was admitted to the Russian Federation, Putin made a speech in the Kremlin in which all the sort of issues we're seeing now were laid out. He talked about the policy of containment of Russia. He talked about if you press the spring, it will push back. He talked about Kiev being the mother of Russian cities. He talked about the desire of Russians to bring all Russians under the banner of Mother Russia. It was all there. And then we've seen the continued ramp up of military capability. We've seen Putin's, your headline, lethal endgame. That his lethal approach, his lethal attacks, here 15 miles from where I'm living, the nerve agent attack in Salisbury. Here is a man for whom international rules, the rule of law, means absolutely nothing, and it was, I'm afraid, all too predictable. So this is genuinely a nightmare coming true.
Just before we go, I've got to get your view on his comments over the weekend about nuclear weapons.
Chilling. We need to be really worried by that. But equally, we must be strong. We must not blink. That is typical Putin, trying to bully, to intimidate, and to outface the opposition.
Well, it's sobering commentary. Sir Richard, thank you very much for your time. There you go. You couldn't get a better expert than that, can you?